Well, good evening, everybody. I'm going to give it a few more minutes, or maybe not a few minutes, but at least a little bit of time to give people an opportunity to check in with us, and we'll kind of recap what's going on. So I'd like to just welcome everybody to Nassau Flyers Live. It's been a while since we've had some sort of event. The you know, to say the least, the last 9 months have been incredibly challenging. At Nassau Flyers, we've been very, very lucky. I know everybody has been affected by the pandemic one way or another, whether it's through family, friends, um, or business, whatever the case may be. Everybody has been affected, but as I said, Nassau Flyers we've been very, very lucky. Our customers have been incredibly supportive, and the entire staff at Nassau Flyers has really done. I am truly thrilled with how we've gotten through the pandemic, and we really, really hope to come out on the other side a better company. So, in the spirit of 2020, it is the year that never stops giving, and that kind of brings us to the Runway Safety Area Project. It is a project that is part of an FAA mandate, and that is for the safety of the airport environment. Anybody who's come in and used Runway 1 knows that coming in over the wires and Route 109 is always just a little bit challenging. Everybody gets just a little bit, at least me personally, I just get a little bit nervous, wishing that the threshold was a little bit further down the road. But, as part of this project, the threshold will be moved further north. So there's two key proponents of that. Obviously, landing on runway 1, and if you coming from the other direction, if you land, and they're also concerned about people running off the end of the runway, and so the south end of the runway is going to have EMAS put in, we assume. That's what it looks like is on the plans. And then from there, we will, the other big issue that we have is taxiway golf. There's really not enough room for a large aircraft to taxi and somebody to use the runway at the same time. So both of those are the reasons behind it. The FAA mandated this project. It probably started on the books almost 20 years ago. And just want everybody to know that we got 3 days notice, just like everybody else at the airport, that it was actually going to start, which really made it difficult for us. There's some challenges, but as I said, it's 2020, and we're going to do everything we can to make it better for everybody that's involved in this. So the big thing with taxiway golf is that it'll be the area that's currently south of runway 119. That is going to be straightened all the way through to the ramp at Shelter. So that's a big part of the project. The project itself is supposed to last until June 1st. So the runway is going to be closed the entire time between now and then. That's going to, as anybody that's gone on to either the FAA website or used AirNav or even in ForeFlight, every one of those, you can see the NOTAMs that are there. It's incredibly important that anybody who's flying out of Republic these days reads the NOTAMs, is aware of the NOTAMs, and prepares ahead of time. This is going to be a constantly changing target. We really have to be careful when we're flying. I'm going to try to go through some of the basic things that we've come up with, and at the end we'll try to take some questions. If I miss somebody, I'm going to have some of my staff, which is on, make sure that we have the opportunity. I can see your comments, and from there I'm going to try to do my best to answer them for you. So this is a runway safety area project. Within 36 hours of the runway being closed, we had an airplane that came down, and due to crosswinds, got a flat tire. Creates all sorts of havoc. So everything that we're doing may seem inconvenient, but the big thing to remember is that safety is our number one factor at Nassau Flyers. It's the thing that we're just never going to let go of. And so we've made some decisions, and we've created some policies that are going to help improve the safety for everybody involved. So as far as our private pilot training, those of you that are new to Nassau Flyers, we're going to limit the hours that we fly during our business hours, which basically is from 8 to 5. The good news is that it's dark after 5, by 5 o'clock, and anybody that is doing their private pilot training, almost all of it's going to be happening in the daylight hours, so it's really not going to, that part's not going to be affected too much. We're going to do the same thing with aircraft rentals. Those are going to be limited to our business hours, which was 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Again, the reasons for that, we'll go into that a little bit further. But it's important that we have somebody at the airport to follow what's going on and to make sure everybody's okay. Anybody that is doing instrument training or they will be able to train after hours. Everything will have to be confirmed through the front office, but those people with that kind of experience, we're going to let fly a little bit later. We've instituted crosswind component limits. For dual flights, and that's flying with the Nassau Flyers instructor, is going to be a 12-knot crosswind component. All of you that might have gotten a little bit lazy about figuring out what the crosswind component is, it's a great chance for the instructors and the students to follow up and to really get an understanding of what is the crosswind components. We know that the aircraft can handle higher. We know that most of our students can handle higher, and I certainly know that our instructors can handle higher, but it's more about what's going on at the airport than anything else. The renters, we're going to lower that down to 10 knots. It still gives an awful lot of leeway. The good news is during the wintertime, the winds will probably be coming out a little bit more out of the northwest, so hopefully it's not as much of an inconvenience. Our solo cross-country flights, for our students that have gotten to that point in their training, we're going to allow them to depart Republic Airport for a cross-country after they've gone and done something in this airport environment, just so that they're very familiar about what's going on at the airport. We're forbidding anybody who's flying out of Nassau Flyers from doing touch and goes at Republic. There's obviously other airports that are within just 10 or 15 minutes of the airport that that we can go to. I know a lot of people have been going to Bridgeport. It gives people a lot great opportunity to see a different airport, but it also eliminates some of the traffic that's at Republic. This is something that we have decided to do, and I think it's going to make it easier to try to reduce the traffic at Republic a little bit. Anybody that's out there, and we'll talk about it later about what is actually causing the problem. And again, these rules have all been instituted, not so much that we're concerned about what happens with one of our aircraft, but what's going to happen when another aircraft who may not have the same restrictions that we're going to put on people. We don't want you to come into a situation where it's uncomfortable for everything. So, as I said, we had somebody that was up in the air that first day. They were able to circle and come back to Republic Airport. We're basically telling people you have two choices. You can circle at Republic, stay on with the tower, and just explain what your intentions are. The second thing would be to go to Islip. There's a shelter at Islip and wait it out there. What we're hoping, and for the most part, if it's it's just a minor, if it's a flat tire or something, the airport clears out pretty quickly. Airport ops gets out to the runway on a very, very timely manner, and they're going to try to get the airport, the runway open as soon as possible. So, and that brings up actually one of the things about the, we normally dispatch our SR-20s. They're full with fuel. The SR-22s are to the tabs. So generally speaking, when you leave, you have plenty of fuel, but it's super critical to be prepared to, the potential to actually have to circle. And so to return with a minimum of 1 hour fuel is probably the lowest that I would feel comfortable coming into Republic right now. So one of the things I'm going to try to do now, and bear with me as we try to do a little bit of multitasking, I'm going to try to show some of the things that are up and are available to you. So this is the first item, and this is the, if you go to and you look at the NOTAMs for Republic Airport, this is the construction notice for the airport. If you take a look, you'll see little X's. It's not really that easy to follow. So one of the things that we've done, just to give you to give everybody here a better idea of what's going on, and most of you have actually done this from a standpoint, most of you are using ForeFlight, and this is basically a screenshot of my iPad from from today that we took, and we try to draw some lines about where you can go and where you can't go. Obviously, we're with the little airplane up front, and I also have basically something that's blown up a little bit bigger. I'm going to try to scoot into the middle here, and bear with me. But we're up in the obviously the top. You can see the little airplane, and we have the ability to taxi down to Golf 6 and/or Golf 5. Boy, it's super critical that anybody that's involved will actually, make sure you write down those taxi instructions. More important than ever now. Most of us have gotten maybe just a little lackadaisical about it, but you just never know what you're actually going to get. So you can see if you come down, your instructions might say, Golf 6, make a left onto 119, and then a right onto Bravo 1, and then hold short of runway 19 on Bravo. The other option is obviously Golf 5. You also have the capability, and this is all if we're, predominantly if we're using runway 32, which is the one that's going to give us the most trouble. You always have the option of asking to head to the Charlie run-up area, and from there you can do your run-up and then proceed to runway 32 from there. So both of those are acceptable options. Just remember that you're crossing an active runway if they're using runway 32. Coming back on runway 32, and we've had a little bit of success with this in the last week. If you're coming in and you're on 1 mile final, it's probably not a bad idea to ask for a long landing. Tell them, returning to Nassau Flyers requesting a long landing. And they've been pretty good about giving that to you. Given the option, landing long and then getting off on the Bravo, Charlie, or worst case scenario where you have to roll all the way out to the end and going to Echo is an easier option for most people returning to Nassau Flyers. Anybody that has flown in the last 2 weeks or less than 2 weeks, you're going to get the left turn on Alpha 4, and there's a whole bunch of instructions that come after that. So you really want to use it as an opportunity to think a little bit more about expediting your return to Nassau Flyers. If you do decide to not do the run up at Charlie, you basically will be crossing 1432 and then taxiing down onto Alpha, and from there you'll head down to the departure end of runway 32, and you'll do the run up in the normal run up area for runway 32. So runway 14, the departure, other than being clear on which taxiways are open, is pretty much going to be typical for what you would get from a departure from Nassau Flyers. So there's not a whole lot. Again, super important to listen to the taxi instructions, but for the most part, you're probably going to get cross at Golf 5, left on Bravo, right on Foxtrot, into the Charlie run-up area. Returning to Nassau Flyers on runway 14 is going to be just a little bit more challenging. You do not have a lot of room to get and land short and make a left onto Bravo. It's only about 1,500 feet. Really make sure that your short field landing skills are in there. You got your A game on, so to speak. And otherwise, don't be in a position where you're rushing off the runway. But in that case, you're going to expect to roll out and probably getting off on Alpha 4 or Alpha 5, perhaps even making a right onto Golf, and then taxiing back on Alpha and crossing 1432 to get back to Nassau Flyers. So all of those are somewhat challenging, but we're really hoping that with this information, it'll make it just a little bit easier for people. And at this point, if anybody has any questions, I'm going to do my best to answer them. I see we have a couple of our instructors on board, so if I answer incorrectly, hopefully they'll straighten me out. So I'm going to put some people on the spot here. I know that Barris, you always have something going on, so you must have, and I believe you guys were out once or twice, so any thoughts? So that's correct. Those are all the taxiways that Barris basically asking about the red are the taxiways that are closed right now. So, and so Jeremy's asking, so yes, the red is definitely closed. There is no use on that. And as far as the crosswind component and flying after hours, at the present time, Jeremy, and it does apply to everybody. This is a decision we've made. We may reevaluate as time goes on, but we're going to, we don't want to dispatch people into a situation where it may end up getting a little bit worse. As far as Ray's asking if the construction is on the weekends, so they closed down for Thanksgiving weekend, but that doesn't mean that they opened up the taxiways. So everything that you see here that is closed is going to stay closed for quite some time. Once they move this, the project is done in a number of different phases, and this phase is going to impact us for quite a while. So as far as the commercial students, if you're flying with an instructor, we're still going to do our best to let you go out. But before that, we're going to see how this plays out for the next couple of weeks. Spike, I am hoping that it's open soon, but realistically, I think Taxiway Golf, I would expect that to open probably, because that's part of this early phase. There's a chance that may open probably around March 1st. That's my guess. That's actually, the Taxiway Golf is probably the biggest part of this project. I don't know if you've noticed, but they did the area that's basically just outside of Nassau Flyers, which was a non-movement area, that they've ripped up. They're obviously going to put down some pavement there, but that's all we know for certain. We have not been given a timeline. We're on conference calls with the airport every week, and we're trying to get as much information as we can. And Jeremy, I got my shovel out there. I'm doing my best, but we're going to see how this plays out. It's government work at its best. All right. So Thomas is asking if we're going to be relocating or locating from our current location to another area at the airport. Um, we're working with the airport to try to come up with solutions as this project goes along. Um, we are trying our best, and we've gotten pretty far down. I hate to say that uh, it's officially going to happen, but it does look like we're going to have some options in the relatively near term that we hope will make everything a little bit easier for everybody. So. So that's Barris. I think that's one of the issues where we're discussing using the Charlie run-up area. Um, it's not so bad if you're flying first thing in the morning. If you're flying midday on a Saturday or Sunday, the run-up area down at the departure end of 3-2 can get busy. So I think it's a great idea to try to do your run-up at Charlie. It eliminates some of the traffic at the other end. Yeah, Henry, at this point, we have decided to not do any night flying. We really want to see how this plays out. We are probably going to rethink a lot of these things, but we had to make the decisions right away for the safety, and it's only because of what we've seen from other people at the airport that has us a little concerned. And I'm not sure who that is, but so the night flying is something that you'll be able to do with an instructor. I have great faith in them, and if something does happen at the airport, they're very, very familiar about the different airports to go to, what the procedures are, and almost as importantly, how to get an Uber home from there. So, but yes, the night, anybody that's doing their private pilot will require some night flights, and we're going to do our best to make sure that those happen in a timely manner. So. You're welcome. And again, we're working this problem almost on a daily basis, and everything that we can do to improve the experience of the customers and Nassau Flyers, we're working on. It's we know it's challenging, and we understand that. We appreciate your patience. Well, Danbury might be a little bit far, but we do have some other ideas that are not quite as far as Danbury. So Ray, we actually have kind of cleaned up I don't want to say cleaned up, but we did get in a bit of a jam with our maintenance. It was mostly caused by airplanes that are not Nassau Flyers managed airplanes that came in that needed a bunch of work. There have been issues with Cirrus. Their supply chain, because of the pandemic, it certainly had a negative impact for us in terms of getting parts on a timely manner. But we have gotten almost in the last 5 weeks, every one of our SR20s has gotten into for a 100-hour inspection, and that's really going to improve the availability of aircraft for everybody. You're welcome. Yeah, well, we're going to try to update people if there are changes, if there's major changes at the airport that we learn of. We're going to try to get that information out as best we can to everybody. This was kind of fun to do again. It's been a long time. Um, those of you that were saw some of our YouTube over the last couple of months, you see that my Nassau Flyers studio has turned into Santa's workshop a little bit in the back, but we're doing the best that we can, and we're going to try to make everything that we can to keep everyone informed and again, flying safe and giving you the best experience that we can. So I know that some of you have seen a bunch of our videos. There's a lot of people that have that have been on before. If you've on for the first time, thanks for joining us. Uh, Please go take a look at some of the other YouTube videos that we've done. We've had a lot of audience participation, so to speak, in all of that, and it's been terrific. And I look forward to seeing everybody at Nassau Flyers. Thank you very much.